right, so Margo,
Yes.
tell us who Margo Fargo is.
Sure, okay. Margo Fargo is a simple, I wouldn't say small town girl because Bloemfontein is not small, that hails from a community called Hededal, who has big dreams and is a simple, kind of tomboy, I would say. It's hard to believe because of the route that I took in the pageantry industry, if I could say that. But when I actually came here, or when I decided what I'm going to wear, someone told me, you are not going to wear a dress, right? You're not going to wear a dress. Because I had heels dress, because I'm so used to being in heels and a dress. And someone said, it's startup grind, you can wear flats. And I'm like, so when I was looking at myself in the mirror, I was like, this feels so weird. You're going to an event and you're a guest speaker, but you can be chilled. So this is actually how I dress. So I'm a big dreamer. I love thinking out the box. I am passionate about sustainability. I studied at the University of the Free State, completed my honors degree in BSc Consumer Sciences, and specialized in sustainability, which led to why I'm here today. So yeah, I'm mixed, so I am Xhosa, colored, and Indian. So I always say if I was a spice, I'd be mixed masala. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. And you say, so you're a big dreamer.
Yes.
And, you know, entrepreneurship always starts with an idea and the guts to, you know, chase that dream. Share a bit with us your journey of, you know, instead of getting a job or, you know, what makes you chase your dreams.
Okay, so it started by mistake, but on purpose, if I could say that. I believe that I don't believe in coincidence, but I believe in purpose and what drives you and what your heart beats for. I was a medical rep for a year and a half for a diabetes company, and I further went into PR management for a designer, Casper Bosman. We all know he's basically a household brand. And I just decided last year that, you know what, I'm not gonna, after Miss South Africa or before Miss South Africa, my boss told me you can't come back. He told me that when you go and stretch out yourself because you know what your dream and your vision is, you cannot go back because you've already been stretched into a different environment. And it was daunting because I just thought to myself, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna, you know, generate an income for myself? How am I going to live, basically, because there's no notification that goes off at the end of the month or on the 15th of every month. And late last year, I decided, okay, I've got a little bit of extra cash after coming back from the Philippines and also attending a renewable energy conference and a few things that I did. I had money saved up. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to buy a big box of metal straws, because when I came back from the Philippines, I received this gift of a set of metal straws because we had a global campaign to break free from plastic. And South Africa, who I represented, we came third in the competition globally because I asked the people back home to create an awareness. But then on my way back, I realized I had time to think because my phone was stolen. Or I think it was a contestant because the Filipinos don't steal. So I think it was a contestant that took the phone. I don't know what happened. But I just had time to think on the plane, and I was thinking, what am I going to do differently when I come back to South Africa? I've been in a month, I've been in a foreign place for an entire month. What is going to change? And I just decided I'm just going to buy a big box of metal straws, and I didn't know what to call it. And I was on the phone with a friend, and I said, I don't know what to call it, infinity straws, metal straws, the straw, yes. And then I just said, I just want this straw to go far. And then she said, okay. And then I said, Fargo. And I was like, yes, Fargo straws. I want to go far with these straws. And that's where the name came from, and it really just blew out of the water. It's doing amazing, and yeah, that's how Fargo Straws was birthed.
But you also support some other businesses, or you have other businesses?
I'm the co-founder of Crown Me Naturally, which is an initiative for a platform for women coming together to talk about business, hair care. As you know, when I entered the pageantry world or the national stage, I rocked my natural hair, which is frowned upon in the natural, in the pageantry world, because people tend to see beauty as pin straight hair, long wavy hair, the Rolene Strauss hair. And I rocked up there with my afro, and people were just like, whoa, we like that. And I asked myself once again, what am I going to do differently after post Miss South Africa? Because there you are really just, you are taught how to be a businesswoman at the end of the day. As much as it is a pageant, you give back, but also you are taught business because you deal with national and international sponsors. And and then I started Crown Me Naturally, just almost a small community, which is also growing, where people have the platform, businesswomen have a platform. You don't necessarily have to have an afro or natural hair. You are just basically celebrating your own true self. So that's also what I do.
And A&M Foundation?
A&M Foundation, I'm also the co-founder of a non-profit organization which aims to challenge the status quo in education. It is on hold for now because we're restructuring a lot of things. So the A&M Foundation is called the Ambassadors Foundation. So where you are an ambassador of what you are doing. So if you are from Startup Grind, you are an ambassador of Startup Grind. But I would always ask you, how are you giving back to the community with the business that you have created? So that's what the foundation is about.
So I just want to go back into something you mentioned about international and national sponsors. Is there anything that you can share about fundraising? Because I think, a lot of business people probably want to know some tips and tricks.
Fundraising, it's been difficult because I started local with Miss Free State, and we had to raise funds. And I learned that there's a saying in Afrikaans, "Bietjie bietjie maak baie." So a little goes a long way. A little bit of everything goes a really long way. And start with what you have, start with a network that you have, and raise that awareness. If this is your community, use the community that you have to start off with, not to go far. And yes, you can go and target maybe a big head office, but you're going to go through so many channels. But whereas you go to someone that you know, that will spring off and lead to, someone that they know. They might not give you what you are looking for. They might give you 100 Rand from the 1,000 Rand that you're looking for, so you can ask 10 people instead of targeting one business for 1,000 Rand. Yeah.
So start with what you have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And share a bit, anything that you'd like to share about your entrepreneurial journey. You didn't go back to your job, so how's it been?
Well, there are days, once a week, I would say, or once a month rather, where I say, I just need to use my degree. Can I not have my entrepreneurship and have a 9-to-5? But I promised myself that I'm not going to go back to that, because it's really going back to what you know. And I really never, ever, ever thought in my entire life that I would be pursuing entrepreneurship, or I'd be an entrepreneur. I'd always admire people who are entrepreneurs that are doing great things and not having a 9-to-5 and all of that. But it's been a roller coaster, but it's been very, very nice, because you learn so much, and I ask a lot of questions, and it has shown me how much I still need to learn. Entrepreneurship is not an easy task. People really think that because you are in charge of your day, you have the flexibility, or it's nice, but really there is no knockoff. Like, there's no, I'm gonna say, chila time. Yeah. So you're constantly just thinking and working, and I think it's an exciting road, but also very daunting, because I do not want to make mistakes. I tend to be an overthinker and a perfectionist when it comes to things. So entrepreneurship has been a roller coaster, but a good one.
And what has your biggest challenge been?
Sure. Currently, it's going to sound weird, but not doubting the brand. I believe in my ability, I believe in my personal brand, I believe in what I'm building, but there are just times where you just think, maybe this is not for me. The thing that I'm also struggling with is, which people say it's a nice life problem, I'm struggling with the supply. There's a demand, but the demand is higher than the supply, because I started it from my own pocket. So it's constantly rotating and rotating and rotating. So I'm in the process of looking for possible investors and capital to do so. I know that in our culture, we want to go make a loan or a business loan, which I do not want to go down that route. I really think that for where I'm headed, there's a lot of space for investors who believe in a brand such as Fargo Straws that is sustainable. Even as an entrepreneur as a whole, I think that there's a lot of space for that as well. So that is my challenge. I also think getting a team together, because I don't trust easily, and it's odd because you want someone to believe in the brand as much as you do, but also you want people to also grow into it, because you have so many people who message and say, I'd really want to be a part of your brand, and I want to be a part of Fargo Straws. And I'm like, but I am learning myself. How can I be teaching you, but I'm learning myself as well? So yeah, those are the struggles that I'm facing.
And so I've seen metal straws in one other place in South Africa, and they were ridiculously expensive. I think one cost 250 Rand or something like that. How are you finding competition?
I don't focus on the competition. It sounds odd, but it's not my focus. For me, it's not about getting the numbers out there. It's more about making an impact. I've seen a metal straw company in South Africa. They actually did gift me with it, and I was like, this is amazing. But I never thought in my entire life that I'll have my own metal straw company in the beginning of this year. So competition for me is not a factor at this point in time. But if I could predict the next 5 years, I would say that the same way a knife and a fork is there, metal straws are going to become a norm in households, and like people are getting into the biodegradable straws and the bamboo straws and all of that. Then I think in the next 5 to 10 years, or even 3 to 5 years, because the world is really moving quite fast, then I would say I need to bump up my catalog and show my diversity. But for me, it's more about building a quality brand at the end of the day.
And so social entrepreneurship, business with a purpose. Why Bloemfontein?
I come from Bloemfontein. There's just something about this place, and people really underestimate Bloemfontein. People would ask me when I'm in different parts of the country, they'd say, where are you from? And then I say, Bloem. I actually mentioned it to her. And then they'd be like, I'm from Bloem. And then I'd be like, ach, shame. And I'm just like, what? Yeah, so it's not a disadvantage. I think we are in the best place because we are not as fast-paced as places like Johannesburg. Yes, there are a lot of other resources, but Bloemfontein is I wouldn't say catching on, but we have a entire community on our own. I could have easily moved to Johannesburg and run the business from there, but I chose Bloemfontein because it's home. I don't get my stock from Bloemfontein. It's just one of those things where I would say it's home. I would want it to be my head office because it's expected to go to Johannesburg, but Johannesburg is saturated with entrepreneurs and people who want to make it. Why not start at home?
So you're here to stay?
I do not know yet. I'm between places. Wherever I'm needed, I go. So I don't limit myself to a place.
And so tell us a little bit about the future of your business. Like we discussed the 3 entities, you do intend to grow Fargo Straws. Some of the other businesses and, what's next? What can we expect from Margo Fargo? Richard was right. It's awesome to see.
I honestly don't know what to expect from myself, but I am planning on using my degree when it comes to, number one, sustainability and the consumer and produce. I'm also passionate about African produce as well, so I'm really looking forward to it. It's funny that you chose Stereo Cafe because I'm looking at selling my own coffee. It's in the next few months I want to produce my own coffee. So, yes. So I was approached by someone who just was passionate about. He saw what I am doing and he said that I really think that you can go into this. And I really love coffee at the end of the day, but I would love to contribute to Africans and them pushing, proudly African produce and it going globally at the end of the day, instead of us selling it to them and them selling it back to us. I would really like them to come to us and say, we want your brand, we want your coffee. So yeah. That's
That
just
sounds super exciting.
tip of the iceberg.
And before we open to any questions from our audience, have you got any advice or insight that you'd like to share with an entrepreneur that's struggling or somebody aspiring to get into this space?
I was dreading this question because I myself, I'm learning as well at the end of the day. But what I've learned is don't wait for perfect weather to start, or do not wait for the perfect moment to make that decision. I would say trust your gut. I've learned over the past few years that trusting your gut, but also sensibly surrounding yourself with the right people with sound minds, where your emotions don't take over the decisions that you make, that you surround yourself with people who can say, rather think about it before you make the decision, or go for it instead of fearing it. So surround yourself with the right people that can give you the advice that you need, and people that want to see you grow in this industry.
Have we got any questions?
Thank you. Hello. I just wanted to ask why you specifically decided to go into metal straws. Was it just because you were gifted with them and it was like, oh, okay, this is really cool? Why you didn't perhaps like think bamboo straws or glass straws? Like, is there anything specific about metal straws that like drew you towards it? And would you ever think of like branching out into bamboo and glass?
That's a very good question. I saw the impact. Greenpeace Philippines came to us and they really showed us the impact of plastic. Usually we say out of sight, out of mind. So when you don't see something and it doesn't affect you, you don't really care about it. But when you really see the impact of one small plastic straw, there's this quote, and I'm sure Joni has seen it, it says, it's only one straw said 8 billion people. And we think, I advocated for a campaign during the Miss Earth, Waste Stops With Me, which was basically saying, the waste that I'm producing stops with me. I'm not going to wait for government. I'm not going to wait for pick it up, or I'm not going to wait for the municipality to come and clean up and recycle. And I just saw the longevity of a metal straw. I thought, yeah, it's stainless steel, it's dishwashable, it's something that you can play around with color. It's also, it's durable, it's really something that you can work with. And it's what I've realized with bamboo straws is that they break very easily. The ones that I have, I stand corrected if anyone has a strong bamboo straw. But I definitely am looking into different kinds, but I'm going to stick to the metal ones for now. And yeah, I think where it came from is just being touched and moved by the impact of the use and plastic. Because I've been watching videos of how plastics are made and things like that, and because obviously it's cheap, it's readily available. So it takes 10 minutes, I think, to make a plastic bag, but it takes over 150 years for it to biodegrade, or for it to disintegrate. So constantly there's so much waste that's being produced, but what are we doing as individuals to reduce and lower our carbon footprint?
Thank you.
Pleasure. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would just like to know what's your target audience? Like businesses, like coffee shops, or let's say restaurants, or households as well.
Good question as well. I do not really have a target audience. Anyone who wants the straw or the straw set can have it, but I'm really focused on people who are not really the eco-warriors, but people who really see this as revolutionary. I do get a lot of corporate companies that want it as corporate gifts. So for example, something that I've never thought of was a panel beating company that approached me and said that they really want to gift this to their customers, because they realize that their customers, everyone driving a car, is emitting carbon emissions and all of that, but by them gifting them with a metal straw is indirectly lowering their carbon footprint without knowing it. So scholars are also quite eager. Everyone wants to be in and everyone wants different. So my main market, or the market that I'm attracting, are the youngsters, your mid-20s, 30s, teenagers as well go crazy because they see that this is different. And what I want to do is teach them young, at a younger age, because then we can undo the thinking of a plastic straw is normal. So I really want to go into educating, being intentional about educating the young about the impact that they have on the environment. Thank you.
Anyone else? No. Well, Margo, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I believe we'll be hanging around just for a little bit, so please do connect with each other. You know, maybe another business opportunity arises from some of the conversations. Thank you so much for your time. It was an absolute pleasure to have you, and thank you all for coming out tonight.